competency-based curriculum is the best. It involves the learner fully. We nurture talents in these learners. We develop skills in them whereby they have a wide range of things they can do when they grow up. I want to inform parents that CBC, it is not expensive as they take it. CBC, we use locally improvised materials. Materials that are within our locality. Today I had a Kiswahili lesson whereby I was teaching about people with different work they do. And in that lesson, I used locally available materials. When it came to charts, we have charts that we have been provided with. We have charts which came from the USAID, that is to Some program. And you'll find that I didn't have to send the learners home to go and bring me the teaching aids. They were already available. I even used Realia, whereby when I was talking about people with different work, I am a teacher. I was talking about kazi ya ualimu. I used myself as a Realia there. I did send learners to get me a teacher from outside. When I was talking about kazi ya ulinzi, bawabu, we just stood in class and we looked at the gates. Bawabu was right away at the gate. So we didn't have to go look for other materials from home. I want to inform parents that have been complaining about portfolios whereby they don't even understand what a portfolio is. But I want to inform parents that we have different types of portfolios. In CBC, we have 3 portfolios that we are using. We have the working portfolio, which we make from Manila papers. Unlike some schools which send their learners to go and buy picture albums. We are not buying albums. We are just using Manila paper. You fold it to come out with a working portfolio. A Manila paper, a thread, there you are. You have a working portfolio. Any work that the learner has. The learner, you can ask learners depending in which learning area you are teaching. For example here, this is environmental activities grade 3, whereby learners were learning about parts of a plant. I didn't have to send learners to go and maybe Google and download a picture about parts of a plant and print it. No, we used locally available materials. What I did, we went out for nature walk. We took some parts of a plant within the school. We uprooted some plants, and there we are. We came out with a plant. I gave the learners a sellotape, and they had to stick the plant using the paper, and we put it in our working portfolio, and they are able to keep it for further use. Then apart from this, we also have assessment portfolios. We have assessment portfolios whereby we record how the learner excels or how the learner performs in each learning area. For example here, I have one that we have printed for our school. You can clearly see it is Maraba Municipality School. And within it, you can see the top cover clearly shows our school. And in this portfolio, this is whereby we record the assessment, classroom assessments that are done. We record the classroom assessments on how the learner performs. As we teach the strands, we go through the strands, the sub-strands. You find that, for example, in language, we have listening and speaking. As we go through these English activities or language activities, how does the learner score in, or how does the learner behave during listening and speaking? And therefore we have to do what? To score the learner. So it keeps a record of the learner's progress all through, from grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, as the learner continue to move to the next grade. His work is clearly shown here in a manner that as the learner transits to the next grade, the teacher who is picking up the learner is able to go through the assessment portfolio. The teacher is able to learn the weaknesses, the strengths of this learner, so that the teacher can help the learner further. I want parents to understand that we have these 3 types of portfolios, which are not so expensive. They are cheap. Teachers, we make them, and like the assessment one, it has a lot of work, but we print them at school, and each learner should have a copy. Then apart from these portfolios, we also have locally made picture albums. We don't need to go and buy. For example, here, when I talk about a picture album, you'll find that I have an album with me here, whereby I have different types of pictures in my album. I didn't go to the shop to buy it. This is just a book, but I have converted it into a picture album. So when we are doing photo montage, for example in art and craft photo montage, you'll find that I asked my learners to get different types of pictures, and they do what? They use a glue which we provide for them to stick the pictures. For example, when I'm teaching about the class, maybe things that are found in class, I'll ask them to identify. The learner will identify, for example, a desk, and find a picture anywhere from a newspaper, from an old book, then cut that picture out, then put it in this picture album. So when I'm talking about different people, you'll find I have a baby here. When I talk of a father, I'm able to show them from my picture album. Things that are found in class, when I'm talking about a river, a road, I have these pictures. I don't need to ask the learner to go and Google and print out the picture, because you'll find out that with Google, you may need bundles. And some parents, we all know not everyone can access a smartphone. So, for example, the teacher, if I have a smartphone, I'll have to do for my learners. But for parents who are able, they can do it. But for those who are not able, we do for them. And we use the locally available materials within us, whatever is to our vicinity. In mathematics, I'm teaching about time. I don't need to ask learners to go and buy a wall clock. The teacher, I'll just improvise. For example, here, I have just improvised a what? A clock. So, you find that I have my clock here. I'm going to use it to teach mathematics when I'm teaching about time. I didn't ask learners to come with a clock from home, or I didn't solicit money from them that bring 10 shillings each so that we can buy a clock. But if you are able, you can go ahead and do. What I'm trying to say is that CBC is all about improvisation. I'll not ask them to go home and buy a toy car. We shall simply do what? Improvise. We shall improvise using the materials that are found within us. Then, still in mathematics, when I'm teaching about abacus, I don't need to go to a bookshop and buy an abacus. As a teacher, I'll have to improvise. I'll not ask learners to bring 10 bob each for me to go and buy the abacus that I do what? I need. I'll just improvise. For example, as we go ahead even in home science, We are teaching there different methods of cooking, how to store food, what and what. With me here, we have improvised a fireless cooker. A fireless cooker in a manner that when we want to keep our food warm, with me here, we have improvised a fireless cooker whereby the learners made it using the locally available materials. This is just a box and this is just a piece of cloth with some cotton inside, and then we keep our things there. We are making a mat in art and craft. These are just banana fibers. We didn't go to the supermarket to go and buy those expensive materials. This is just a mat, and you see it is smart using banana fibers. We are doing what? Making, for example, we want to make a house. We are having a home in our class. So you just simply ask the learners to use the locally available materials. They modify houses and go ahead and use those houses. In science and technology, you are teaching about the breathing system. You don't need to Google, do what, and what, but you can just use locally available materials. For example, here with me here, I have made, I've tried to make a breathing system whereby I've taken the balloons which represent now the lungs. I have a here, a pipe here, a straw, which it is now the trachea. Now, when you are teaching the learners, you can just improvise something like this, whereby when this is the breathing system. In art and craft, we were also making mats, whereby now we were trying to make a mat for our class. This is just old thread. It is not new. This is just an old thread, which we took it from an old rag, and this is just a sack. I didn't even buy it. It is just an old one. Then we tried to make a mat for our lesson, art and craft. I want to encourage parents that CBC, it is not so expensive. It is exposing our learners to different skills. Like here, for example, just a few of the things that I've talked about. My learners are able to make a mat. And you know, when they make these mats at this young age, they can still go ahead and sell. My learners are able to come up with a fireless cooker. These things are sold expensively. You find for them at this younger age, if one can make a good one can at the same time do what? Sell. I want to encourage parents to embrace it because it is here with us. CBC is here to stay, and it is best for our learners. As teachers, we have embraced it. Our learners are enjoying. In fact, right now it has made us to have more knowledge on how to handle. Then there is this part where parents are complaining about homework, takeaway assignments that they have been turned into learners. Most of the work that we give to the learners, we as teachers, we always handle it in class before we give them as extended activities. For example, in Kiswahili, in my Kiswahili lesson, I gave them an extended activity, kwenda kuchora ng'ombe. An animal like a cow. This is an animal that is a domestic animal, an animal that is kept at home, an animal that these learners can see. That is why when we give out these assignments, we are giving them assignments basing with what is found within our locality. So as a parent, you don't strain. You don't strain at sijui mtoto amekuja na homework. The way I've been seeing on social media, ati mtoto amekuja na homework, ati sijui aende wapi, aende atengeneze crusade, sijui ahubiri, aende wapi. You can still make that crusade in the house. Toka nje ya nyumba, simama hapo na mtoto, wewe uwe pastor, mtoto naye awe ndio wa kusikiliza as you record. And if you cannot be able to do that, communicate to the teacher, because there is something that we are trying these learners to learn. Parental involvement. When it comes to home science, you are in the kitchen. As you prepare that meal, make sure the learner is around. The learner is learning how to prepare a meal. That is not something difficult. That is now parental involvement. It is not just a matter of ati wewe uko jikoni unapika, mtoto naye ameketi kule. You have to be involved as a parent. When we ask them to wash their clothes, as a parent, when you are doing the washing, let your learner be there. Let your learner see what you are doing. Encourage your son, your daughter to do what you are doing. Let them learn how to do these things, because these are skills that we are developing in them. Skills that CBC is after. Let them acquire these skills at an early stage. These skills will help these learners as they grow up, as they transit from one stage to another, and they are well skilled. You'll find that they'll grow up to be big people with big visions. We have learners in our classes who you find that maybe during some lessons they're not good at them. They're not good at mathematics, but you find that that learner is good at music. When it is time for music, the learner can sing so well, the learner can dance. But when it is time for mathematics, the learner is not able. So I, as a teacher, I need to nurture this learner in music.
Towards a competency-based quality education in Kenya, a collective responsibility where every learner counts.